but create lasting development. As an agency of the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications is mandated to facilitate the provision of universal access to all persons for socio-economic development through the use of ICT. Since 2019, the Danish support for maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea has primarily focused on Ghana and Nigeria. The Prime Minister of Denmark, Ms. Mette Frederiksen, said the Danish government will continue to support maritime centers in West Africa to enhance safety and security in the Gulf of Guinea. Ms. Mette Frederiksen made these remarks when she engaged the managers of Meridian Port Services Limited (MPS) at the Dema Port in the Greater Accra region. MPS is the operator of the container terminal at the port. A report by Ofrewa Dakum. Meridian Port Services (MPS), a port holdings, has Balori Transport and Logistics and APM Terminals as its two main shareholders. MPS, which supervises construction of all port expansion facilities, is also providing design and procurement management services prior to the award of construction contracts for the $1.5 billion Dema Port expansion project.
At the time where ships were like 100 meter, 150 meter long and no containers. So we went out and we designed this and we built on our success with Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority to make this magnificent port infrastructure.
Since 2015, the Danish Maritime Security has provided capacity building to enhance maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea. According to the Prime Minister of Denmark, Ms. Mette Frederiksen, beginning 2022, Denmark will initiate a 5-year security program covering 5 countries: Ivory Coast, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Nigeria, to build on previous engagements.
We are directly and indirectly involved in securing this area, and it's not an easy job. A part of it is very difficult, but we are going to continue to be here directly and to take not only our part of responsibility, but maybe also more than our part.
In 2021, Denmark further scaled up its engagement in West Africa by appointing a special representative for maritime security and investing an extra $1.5 million in the Denmark security program. Currently, Ghana and Nigeria house the 2 biggest ports for Danish shipping companies. For GBC News, Ofrewa Dakum reporting. Security is improving along the eastern corridor of the Bono East region. This follows GBC's extensive coverage of the spate of armed robberies in that part of the country. Traders and drivers who use the corridor report of a significant drop in the weekly cases of armed robberies, bringing some relief and liberty to earn their daily bread.
The far east of the Bono East is generally termed the Eastern Corridor. With about 500,000 population, they are spread across Atebubu and Mantin, Puru East and Puru West, as well as Sene East and Sene West. Residents in its sister districts of Karachi West, Karachi East, Karachi in Chumru, Salaga, North and South, as well as Mandai, all use the central corridor to get to Kumasi and its environs. This corridor constitutes a major grain and tuber food basket for the country. Communities dotted around the Volta Lake supply the country's cereals, tuber crops and fish products. The enclave has 6 big and popular markets, making it a better choice for bulk farm produce and fish sales, attracting business particularly from southern Ghana. Not a single day passes without a market day in the enclave. These commercial activities, coupled with the bad road network in the zone, are what armed robbers have taken advantage of to intimidate both traders and communities. Duty bearers, both traditional and political, have been involved in finding solutions to the situation, which was gradually collapsing the various markets and putting lives in harm's way. To assess the situation, the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare, embarked on a 60-hour ground operational tour in the Bono East region with special attention to the Far East areas. The dawn to dusk tour was to review ground combat operations. This has resulted in deployment of 150 highly skilled combat operatives to assist. Today, there are over 30 operational checkpoints and police stations across the Bono East region.
Robbery incidents happening along, and just advise that we should do normal patrol checks. So here we perform about 24 hours. We are those performing the night. We just be around this until another team will come and take over from, and it will go 24/7 every day.
The tour by IGP Akufu-Dampare is said to be the first of its kind by any IGP. Life is returning to normalcy.
There is a military detachment in Atibu as we are speaking now. About 3 months ago, I also increased the mobile police squad. Okay, over there. So that has also reduced it. I've also introduced escort services that enables, the market gauge was almost about collapsing, So we initiated an escort service that enables the police and the military to escort the market women from Ejra up to Yechi, and also from Atibubu to Kwamdanso.
First, the name whom the Bakra Chromet me high, a chichi, a Gukwam cry, and Yasankatua. So, for body, I say difference. Abem Kakama. It's here, the point with the Obrobes in
Oh, the kind of the Nasebe Mamu. Oh, America Crabini, and some Bisa, no Bisa, far. Ann Roberts are Omudi, our point. America Cramaba, would you say you sue, a man paying for us not say a more adjo. Ama America creating a shed Dante say Bisa says be. Which I say, Bisa Busa and a correct not to one among. Indicated in a say, Mamma. Now they yesterday say, Munyon sa my Humanum.
Even in the rain, we came across a patrol team at a vantage point. The plea now is for the weekly security escort for the traders to be daily for total security and peace. Peggy Amadonko, GBC News, Far East.
The passage of the government's 2022 budget and economic policy document remains unresolved as the majority walked out of the chamber. This was after the Speaker ruled against the request of the Finance Minister to engage both leaders of the House. However, the Speaker, Mr. Alban Bagmin's position was that the absence could not prevent the House from proceeding with the business of the day.
Those in favor of the request that the prayer of the Minister of Finance for more time to do consultation with the leadership, 0. That's nil. Those against the requests of the Minister for Finance for more time for consultation with the leadership, 137. So the noes have it, and the request is accordingly lost. Those in favor of the approval of motion number 11, that this Honorable House approves the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2022, Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against the motion say no. Clearly, the noes have it. Is accordingly lost. Honorable members, there's good reason why the people of Ghana elected this parliament to be a hung parliament. Those who pretend to say mere hung, it's a hung parliament of 137, 137. The independents who decided to do business with one side made them majority group. There is no majority party in this house. This is a new beginning where for the first time a majority has walked out from its own business.
After the request of the finance minister was overruled by the speaker, the majority expressed their disagreement and requested for a division.
Those in favor of just granting the prayer of the minister for the House to give him the opportunity to engage further with the leaders, say aye. Those against, say no.
Mr. Speaker, I shall contend that under Order 113(2) of our rules, the decision should, Mr. Speaker, be subjected to a division.
But the decision must be taken today, not any other day, today. Table office, clear the lobbies.
For voting, it is only proper, because of the nose march, it is only proper before we start. Ministers who are not members of Parliament can excuse that, because at this stage we are moving into voting and they have no role to play as we start the voting.
Under the orders to call on the marshal to get the person out of the house.
Following the Speaker's ruling on government's 2022 budget document, the Majority Caucus expressed satisfaction with the process. Addressing the media late on Friday evening, the Majority Leader, Mr. Osei Chairman, said the decision of the Speaker of Parliament on the 2022 budget is not holding, as his pronouncement was out of order. He explained that questions put before the House was not determined by a majority vote, and so the motion moved by the Finance Minister still stands.
By this resort, that okay, I will not pronounce on it, let me put it to vote. It's not happened before. We are all living witnesses in this house. When has this happened? But be that as it may, he went ahead, did what he did in absence because we were not in the chamber. And then went ahead to state that the motion on the budget as moved by the Minister of Finance on Wednesday, the 17th of November, is lost. That whole procedure was unconstitutional. As far as we are concerned, it's null and void. It has no binding effect on anybody. And to that extent, the motion moved by the Minister of Finance has not been lost. It still stands. Colleagues, for the avoidance of doubt, to give greater certainty to the constitutional provision, let me quote Article 1, Order 1091 of the Standing Orders. That provides no question, absolutely no question, for decision in the House shall be proposed for determination unless there are present in the House not less than 1/2 of all the members of the House. And except otherwise, as provided in the Constitution, the question proposed shall be determined by the majority of votes of members present and voting. Assuming, without admitting, that he had 137 members in the chamber, there was still less than 1/2 of the 275. And by necessary implication, that exercise that he engaged in or supervised is a complete nullity. It's a complete nullity. And I believe that whoever presided should bow down his head in shame. So in the fullness of time, the proper thing will be done.
As world temperatures soar and population grows, so is the Cool Coalition and partners advocating for governments to treat access to cooling as a development priority. The goal is to keep temperatures at 1.5 degrees Celsius. Currently, Ghana, through the implementation of the eco-fridges, is providing energy-efficient and climate-friendly products through a rebate system. Though its implementation has successfully cleaned homes of inefficient appliances, there is regard by Europe to consistently pass on their old and obsolete appliances to Ghana made the real gains achieved on her climate change fight. Clara Mlano reports.
In a world today where some students still study in darkness, homes using unclean cooking methods, industries without reliable power, much more power is needed to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 7 by 2030. The goal, seeking to achieve affordable and clean energy for all, calls for equity and inclusiveness. Another aim of Goal 7 is to improve access to cooling through conventional cooling technologies as people are increasingly becoming vulnerable to heat waves. The drive for the Cooling Coalition is to push for the use of energy-efficient refrigerators and room air conditioners, one, to reduce energy consumption, and the other, to help consumers save money to minimize global emissions.
There is a chance if you only focus on one type of center, which is refrigeration and refrigerated equipment, you might miss the other holistic planning of it. So we also, our second prong is about catalyzing innovations, and that would include catalyzing innovation in technology.
For Ghana, the markets for second-hand refrigerators, being high energy consuming appliances, has dwindled drastically since the coming into force of a ban to sanitize this sector. According to the Director of Renewable Energy, Energy Efficiency and Climate Change at the Energy Commission, Mr. Kofi Ejaakon, the Eco-Fridges initiative is transforming Ghana from a minimum energy performance standards to high energy performance standards.
The Eco-Fridges uses market-based approach laced with innovative financial mechanism that is aimed at making cooling products available and affordable to consumers. Now it is possible in Ghana for consumers to enjoy 1 full year interest-free loans to be able to buy high energy efficient cooling appliances. And that program has been running and we have crossed the 1,000 mark
Other partners supporting the initiative for access to cooling are calling for all to put more efforts into the climate agenda.
You all may not know heat kills more people as a climate-driven hazard than any other climate-driven hazard. And in some countries, it kills more people than all of the hazards combined. It is the #1 death knell of climate. It is not understood.
The event was an energy summit held on the sidelines at the conclusion of COP26 in Glasgow. For GBC News, Clara Mlano reporting.
At the 7th Quasi-Government Health Institution Conference in Accra, it was disclosed that ambulances services with a brigade of specialists aboard will soon be introduced across the country to render quality health care. A fleet of 15 ambulances and 5 aircraft will constitute its initial operations. This, the institutions believe, is feasible, cost-effective, and will contribute to the attainment of universal health coverage. A report by Sarah Ofori.
Ghana's universal healthcare agenda is about timely access to quality healthcare irrespective of location, socioeconomic status, gender, tribe, religion or political affiliations. It is considered a fundamental human right, yet the equitable distribution of infrastructure with accessible roads and skilled personnel in the country remains a challenge. Although government procured over 300 equipped ambulances for each constituency, they have not been readily accessible during emergency care. Evacuating patients in need of critical care, such as accident victims, is usually not done promptly and without appropriate expertise. The quasi-government healthcare institutions, with its resources, hope to upgrade the skills of persons who act as first responders to serve as ambassadors of primary and secondary health in education institutions. It also hopes to introduce air ambulance service, even though just a few of the healthcare facilities in the country have helipads.
To make this more effective, high-level medical staff will be moved by air to assist designated facilities and respective jurisdictions to carry out advanced management, thereby treating patients in their comfort zones, as well as increasing the capacity of local medical teams.
The Director of External Health Operations at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Hafiz Tahil, lauded the intention of GACI to scale up first aid and basic life support, adding it would bridge the skilled personnel gap and guarantee the evacuation of patients to centers of excellence. So for GBC News, Accra.
To reduce deaths, injuries and permanent long-term disabilities emanating from road accidents, government is set to administer, maintain and operate a nationwide comprehensive emergency medical services system throughout the country. This was disclosed by the Minister for Health, Mr. Kweku Ajiman-Menu, at the passing out of emergency medical technician drivers of the National Ambulance Service at Nkikesu in the Ofinsu North District of the Ashanti region.
The 435 emergency medical technicians who graduated this year will add up to some 2,000 plus ambulance service emergency medical personnel in the country. The technicians went through a one-year training in pre-hospital management casualties. They are expected to be at the forefront in providing pre-hospital care for the injured and the sick. The acting president of the Ofinsu Traditional Council, Nana Kwekudia, urged government to consider the upgrading of the paramedic and emergency care training school into a center of excellence. Whilst commending the emergency care providers, the Minister for Health, Mr. Kweku Ajiman-Menu, said government places premium on the provision of emergency care at every level in the healthcare delivery chain.
The aim of the MPP government through the Minister of Health is to administer, maintain and operate a nationwide comprehensive emergency medical services system throughout Ghana that is designed to reduce medical emergency deaths, injuries, and permanent long-term disabilities.
The Chief Executive Officer of the National Ambulance Service, Professor Ahmed Zakaria, expressed concern about the frequent attacks on ambulances by robbers.
Even armed robbers, when they are hit or they are wounded or shot by other people like their own colleagues or even the security personnel, it's still the ambulance service that goes to their rescue. And so for them to start targeting them is really a worrisome event, not just for the ambulance service, but as a country as a whole, because when that happens, it means that nobody's safe.
Master Ivan Nyoke was adjudged the overall best graduating cadet. A 5-seater auditorium conference hall was inaugurated for the school. A stimulation exercise on how to handle emergency and accident cases was conducted.
Staff of the Eastern Regional Office of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation (GBC) have been schooled on the need to develop a positive attitude and mindset, especially in the discharge of their duties at the workplace. This, the Minister in charge of Foreign Affairs of the International Youth Fellowship, Reverend David O, said is the only way leaders will possess intellectual and innovative ideas that will positively impact society and accelerate development of the country. Reverend O was speaking at a lecture at the corporation's premises in Kofodia in the Eastern region.
The National Youth Fellowship (IYF) was established in 2001 as an international Christian youth organization and NGO to raise young leaders through education and activities that will help provide realistic solutions to problems confronting the world. The Deputy Director of IYF, Reverend J. Chun Young, disclosed that aside providing social services, the organization also seeks to foster mutual understanding and unity between nations through intellectual exchange.
As God wants our human being, and God also can change the means of who is abnormal to change woman. That's a means of part of the problem. That point when you accept the Pastor Parks the word, he also changed mindset and all his families and support to the mission. As people, their mindset from the negative mind to the positive mind.
The Eastern Regional Director of GBC, Mr. Albert Ni Ajeklu, urged Ghanaians to be positive-minded in every sphere of life to accelerate the country's development.
They have actually inculcated into us patriotism and I can do spirit. Whatever they are capable of doing, the Western world, we are also capable of doing it. If we stand on our feet and we have positive thinking, creativity, you see, so we must be focused, be positive, and we shouldn't have a negative mindset.
The head of programs, GBC Sunrise FM, Mr. Mohammed Zunurin, said the mind is a powerful tool that should not be taken for granted.
We should move away from that mindset of it cannot be done, it is not possible, we are constrained resource-wise and all that. And then do the best that we can, challenge ourselves, and then do away with all negativities and negative mindset. I believe if we do that, we will be able to achieve our dreams. Even if we aren't able to achieve everything, we can still make some efforts.
You're still watching News Hour live on GBC News. We're taking a short break. Please don't go away. It's now time for business. Africa is seeking to connect free economic zones to global value chains as the continent readies to scale up exports under the Africa Free Trade Area Agreement. Experts at the 6th Africa Economic Zone Conference recognize the space of global value chains as a catalyst in harnessing the benefits of the AFCFTA.
Ghana, with a track record of implementing the Free Zones module and host of the AFCFTA Secretariat, is hosting the 6th edition of the Africa Economic Zones Organization's annual conference at Trade House. The focus is to create a synergy among players in designing the right policies to connect trade from the free zones to global trade. This latest conference comes on the back of discussions on a common regulatory framework for economic zones on the continent at Gabon. Mr. Kojo Nkrumah is Ghana's Minister for Information.
African countries must seize this opportunity under the AFCFTA to enhance the productivity and competitiveness of African private sector operators within the global value chains to pull along the numerous micro and small enterprises upscale.
As a leading economy in Africa and second on the ECOWAS bloc, Ghana is a shining example when it comes to economic zone management. The Ghana Free Zones Authority has been instrumental in the country's industrialization efforts. Chief Executive Mr. Michael Kwe Jr. updates newsmen on Ghana's One Region, One Industrial Park initiative.
We're working with all the various land administration, sorting out all the documents. Companies are lining up. If you go to the Western region, companies like Dangote, Jintao, Wakan are already tenants. So this is something that is not about to start. It's already in the process, and we pray that the timelines will be now.
Whilst seeking to link economic zones to global value chains, there is a common understanding that Africa must increase intra-African trade, which currently stands at a low of 15%.
As policy think tanks and CSO celebrate on the future sustainability of pensions in the country, they have been charged to direct pension assets into more fundamentally sound investment options to give pensioners value for their monies. These were the words of the Finance Minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, during the inauguration of a new 11-member board of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority in Accra.
In 2010, about 1.6 million people were over 60 years. This represented 6.7% of the Ghanaian population. 11 years on, in 2021, Ghana has 2.02 million people who are over the age of 60, representing 6.5% of the country's population. Since its establishment, the National Pensions Regulatory Authority has been executing its mandate of regulating and monitoring the operations of the pension scheme and ensure an effective administration of all pensions in the country. At the inauguration of the new board for the NPRA in Accra, the Minister for Finance, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, called on members to examine their investment portfolio, take more risk and mitigate them.
I urge you to bring on board new pragmatic ideas to help the authority execute its 5-year development plan starting next year, 2022. The role of digitization also cannot be overemphasized. As part of its duties, the board must ensure NPRA leverages digital tools to advance efforts in increasing coverage of the informal sector.
The new board chairman, Mr. Paul Simon Kranting, thanked the finance minister for the opportunity given them to contribute their quota to the development of the country. He pledged to make good of the finance minister's charge to them to direct pension assets into more fundamentally sound investment options to give pensioners value for their money. The Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Mr. Ignatius Bafwewa, said the ministry expects a high degree of professionalism in their line of work.
The Director General of Standards Organization of Nigeria, Malam Farouk Salims, has underscored the need to accelerate the harmonization of standards to boost intra-African trade. He says the success of the African Continental Free Trade Area hinges on removing technical barriers to trade. Malam Farouk Salim spoke to GBC News on the sidelines of the 65th Council meeting of the African Organization for Standardization in Accra.
Our political leaders have already signed off at the African Trade Area after. So basically our responsibility as technocrats is to make sure this laudable treaty is implemented in such a way that the whole continent benefit from it, and we grow in this process. No country grows in the world without standards and without following standards. And this African Free Trade Area that we signed is an opportunity for us to have our continent be advanced in the stage of applying standards, harmonized standards, where products coming from Ghana can easily go to Nigeria without any hitches, and vice versa.
And that's it for your business.